In June of 1973, on a street circuit wrapped around the Adriatic coast, a man almost nobody had heard of fired up a motorcycle no major factory would have built. Its engine had been born for a racing boat. Its clutch housing came from Norton. Its frame was built in England. And the rider had started out as the mechanic. 49 minutes later, Kim Newcombe crossed the finish line more than a minute ahead of the next rider. He had set the fastest lap, won his first 500cc Grand Prix, and taken the lead in the World Championship. Not the Privateers Championship, not a special experimental class. The same championship contested by Giacomo Agostini, Phil Red, MV Agusta, and Yamaha. And Newcombe was doing it with a tiny German team, his wife and young son traveling with him, and an engine that was supposed to be pushing a propeller through water. That's the version that fits on a poster. A brilliant New Zealander puts a boat engine into a motorcycle and nearly becomes world champion. The truth is a little more complicated, and much better. Kim Newcombe was born in Nelson, New Zealand, in 1944, and grew up in Auckland. He was quick on a motorcycle, but he wasn't raised inside the European road racing world. His background was dirt. As a teenager, he finished second in New Zealand's 250cc Scramble Championship on a Greaves. In 1963, 19-year-old Kim and his wife, Janine, moved to Australia. He worked as a mechanic, raced off-road and speedway, and became involved with racing hydroplanes. That last part matters, because the engines in those little boats were not lazy fishing motors. They were compact, highly tuned two-strokes, built to run flat out. One of the strongest names in that world was König, a family engine company in West Berlin. Newcombe learned those engines while working in Melbourne. He understood their strange flat-four layout, their power-to-weight ratio, and their temperament long before he ever tried to put one between two wheels. In 1968, Kim was offered a job at the Myco motorcycle factory in Germany. It looked like his route into European motocross. There was one problem. The position wouldn't be ready for months. Kim and Janine went to Europe anyway. Rather than wait, Kim found temporary work at König Motorenbau. And when he walked into the factory, he discovered something unexpected in a corner. A 494cc König outboard engine already stuffed into a modified BSA frame. So no, Kim Newcombe was not the first person to look at that engine and imagine a motorcycle. A German racer named Wolf Braun had built the rough prototype. But the machine had injured Braun, the project had stalled, and what remained was less a race bike than an unanswered question. Dieter König still believed in it. Newcombe looked at the abandoned machine and believed in it too. The Myco job was forgotten. Now consider the problem he had accepted. A racing outboard doesn't need to carry a conventional motorcycle transmission. It also spends its life surrounded by the one thing a two-stroke race engine desperately needs: cold water. On land, the engine had to shift through 6 gears, cool itself with a radiator, survive bumps and lean angles, and deliver power through a tire instead of a propeller. The flat-four layout placed 2 cylinders toward the front and 2 toward the rear. Keeping all 4 at the right temperature became a constant fight. Newcombe reworked the cooling, adapted a Norton clutch housing and a modified 6-speed gearbox, and kept changing the chassis around an engine never designed to live there. Eventually, the König produced around 86 horsepower at 10,500 revolutions per minute. The complete motorcycle weighed roughly 300 pounds and could exceed 150 miles per hour. Those numbers were absolutely serious in the early 1970s. But horsepower wasn't the miracle. The miracle was making the thing complete a race. Kim had no road racing experience, so naturally, he became its test rider. He obtained a German national license, entered the motorcycle at Berlin's AVUS circuit, and won on its racing debut. That sounds like the perfect beginning. What followed was more honest. For 1971, experienced Australian Grand Prix rider John Dodds took the König into the 500cc World Championship. The bike managed 1 top 10 finish and 10 retirements. It was fast enough to attract attention and fragile enough to destroy a privateer's season. Dodds left. The factories would have hired another rider. König handed the machine back to the man who understood which sound meant power and which sound meant the next expensive failure. By 1972, Newcombe had earned an international racing license. In his first World Championship start, at the Nürburgring, he finished third behind the MV Augustus of Agostini and Alberto Pagani. Think about that for a moment. His first Grand Prix was on a 14-mile circuit he'd never raced before, riding a motorcycle he had helped invent against a factory that had won the Premier Class Championship year after year. And he put it on the podium. Another third place followed in East Germany. The season was later interrupted by broken vertebrae, but the message had already reached the paddock. The boat engine motorcycle wasn't a joke anymore. If you enjoy motorcycle stories about people who built their own answer instead of waiting for a factory, subscribe to the channel. There are far more of them hiding in history than most of us were ever told. For 1973, Newcombe returned with a new frame built by Colin Seeley and more power from the König engine. His old Australian friend Rod Tingate joined as mechanic. Janine and their young son, Mark, traveled with the team. Team König sounds grand. In reality, this was a family and a few determined people moving from circuit to circuit while MV Agusta arrived after dominating the Premier Class for well over a decade. MV had Agostini and Phil Reed. Yamaha entered a factory team led by Jarno Saarinen. König had a converted marine engine and the man who knew every bolt in it. At the opening round in France, Newcombe finished fifth. In Austria, he finished third behind Saarinen and Agostini. Then the König failed to finish at Hockenheim. The season itself was turning dark. Saarinen and Renzo Pasolini were killed in the 250cc race at Monza, and Yamaha withdrew its factory team. This was an era when the paddock could lose 2 stars on Sunday and load the vans for another circuit on Monday. The next 500cc round for Newcombe was the Yugoslavian Grand Prix at Opatija, a narrow public road circuit where stone walls and buildings waited beyond the edge of the pavement. The factory MV Augustus did not start that race. That detail is sometimes used to dismiss Newcombe's victory, so let's be clear about it. He didn't beat Phil Reed on the road that afternoon. But a Grand Prix does not award points for the most impressive motorcycle in the parking area. You have to start, survive, and finish. Newcombe set the fastest lap and won by more than a minute. The rider who had entered Europe as a motocross mechanic was now leading the 500cc World Championship on a motorcycle that had once sat abandoned in an old BSA frame. And it wasn't one lucky afternoon. At Assen, he finished second. He took fourth in Belgium, third in Sweden, and fourth in Finland. The König still failed sometimes, but Newcombe kept collecting points while far larger efforts stumbled. Eventually, Phil Reed and MV Agusta pulled clear. Before the final round in Spain, Reed had secured the championship. Newcombe remained second, ahead of Giacomo Agostini. The title was gone, but the small team still needed money. Newcombe accepted start money for a non-championship race at Silverstone in August. For the event, the König engine had been enlarged to roughly 680cc. During practice, Kim walked the circuit and became concerned about Stowe Corner. There was a dip near the approach and a heavy wooden barrier beyond the runoff. He asked the officials to place hay bales in front of it. They refused. In the race, Newcombe ran near the front for the opening laps. Then, at Stowe, he left the track and struck the barrier he had warned them about. Accounts written later disagree on the exact mechanical chain. Some describe a brake failure. Others say the dip unsettled the motorcycle and sent it wide. The contemporary reports confirm the crash, but they cannot give us a perfect answer from inside the machine. What isn't disputed is that Newcombe had identified the danger before the race and asked for protection at that corner. He never regained consciousness. Kim Newcombe died in hospital on August 14, 1973. He was 29 years old. When the championship standings were finalized, he remained second with 63 points. Phil Reed was champion with 84. Agostini, one of the greatest riders who ever lived, was third with 57. There is a temptation to turn Newcombe's story into a fairy tale interrupted by tragedy. The lone genius builds a magical machine, defeats the giants, and would certainly have become champion if fate had allowed it. But that isn't honest either. The König was still unreliable. Yamaha's new production racers were changing the economics of the grid. MV Agusta remained brutally effective. Nobody can know what Newcombe would have done in 1974. What we do know is already extraordinary. He took an existing but failed idea and solved enough of its problems to win a Grand Prix. He became the rider because the project could not afford to separate the engineer from the man holding the throttle. He raced against the most successful team of the era and finished the season ahead of Agostini. And the engineering did not die with him. König-powered sidecars won world championships in 1975 and 1976. The strange flat four had not been a gimmick. It simply needed people stubborn enough to understand it. Newcombe's Yugoslavian victory also held a remarkable place in history. It was the last Premier Class Grand Prix win by a motorcycle manufacturer from outside Japan or Italy for 47 years. That run finally ended when Austria's KTM won in 2020. So perhaps the real story isn't that Kim Newcombe put a boat engine into a motorcycle. It's that he looked at a machine designed for one world and refused to accept that it belonged there. A boat engine didn't know it couldn't race at the Nürburgring. An abandoned prototype didn't know it couldn't lead a world championship. And a mechanic from New Zealand didn't know he was supposed to leave Grand Prix victories to the factories. For a few weeks in 1973, the most important championship in motorcycle racing had a König at the top of its standings. And Kim Newcombe had built it, maintained it, and ridden it there himself.